Welcome back to MBOX Frustrated User Guide. You're watching Wi-Fi Problems, Part 2. In Part 1, we saw how inexpensive Wi-Fi repeaters like these easily solve MBOX streaming problems. Since I installed this Pix-Link model AC750 2 years ago, every wireless device in the house has benefited. Laptops on the first floor have gone from 2 bars to 5. We can even use the internet reliably down in the basement now. Unfortunately, like everything MBOX related, connecting a repeater to a router can be frustrating. Repeaters make very powerful hotspots, but unlike cell phones, they don't have touchscreens. Instead of on-screen prompts like you see here, you have to rely on written instructions like these. The instruction pamphlets are typeset in ridiculously small print. They're very difficult to read. Not only that, but they're typically written in Chinese English. They're easily misunderstood. Take the WPS push-button setup method quoted here from the Pix-Link AC750 Quick Installation Guide. Now, after reading that, many people just assume that they can join a repeater to a router without even knowing the Wi-Fi password, simply by pushing a couple of buttons. The same is suggested on this page titled Add WPS Client in the Netgear Router Setup Genie. But reread the instructions carefully. Wi-Fi protected setup is for connecting client devices. It doesn't allow you to connect a repeater to a router. Neither does the PIN method documented in the Netgear R6050 Owner's Manual. Repeaters are not clients. They're extensions of the gateway. You can try all day using these methods. They don't work. It's simply an exercise in frustration. So, how do you set them up? You have to set them up manually. There are 6 steps involved. The whole procedure takes 5 to 6 minutes. Start by writing down the repeater's default IP address, username, and password. This info should be on the product label. Here, the default IP address is 192.168.10.1. The default username and the default password are both given as the word admin, spelled in all lowercase letters. You'll also need the password to your wireless network. You need to join whatever repeater you purchase to your router. If you don't know your Wi-Fi password, you won't be able to join it. You're not going to get anywhere. So write down the IP address of the repeater, the admin username of the repeater, the admin password of the repeater, and the Wi-Fi password of whatever router you're trying to join. Connect one end of the supplied Ethernet cable to the LAN port of the repeater and connect the other end to the Ethernet port of your MBOX. You can use a longer cable if necessary. Just be sure to use the LAN port on the repeater, not the WAN port. Make sure the connectors click into place. You'll also need a keyboard to set up the repeater. It can be a mini wireless keyboard like this one, or it can be a wired USB keyboard. I'm not saying that it's impossible to do without a keyboard. I'm just guessing that it would be very, very difficult. When everything is plugged in, reconnect the MBOX to the TV and power up. When the launcher appears, go to Settings, navigate to Network, turn off Wi-Fi if necessary, and turn on Ethernet. Here we see the MBOX does have an Ethernet IP address ending in 10.100. If you get an Ethernet not connected message, it usually means the cable has not been clicked into place properly. Reinsert the cable and try again. Once you verify the Ethernet connection, go home and click on Browser. This site can't be reached, no internet, viewing an offline copy of this page. That's to be expected because we're connected to the repeater and it hasn't been connected to the router yet. To enter the setup wizard, type the repeater's default IP address. What was that again? 192.168.10.1. Type it in. Hit enter and it brings you to the repeater's login screen. enter the repeater's default username and password. In this case, they're both the word admin, all lowercase. Hit the Enter key, there's the setup wizard. Click on the button above the word repeater. As soon as you click on it, a scan button appears. Click on that. A list of available network appears. Just click on the SSID of whatever router you want to repeat. Enter your network password. Tab to the Apply button. Hit the Enter key on your keyboard and wait for the repeater to reset. Your connection was interrupted. A network change was detected. Error, network changed. That means we've been successful. Those messages indicate that the MBOX has a new IP address, one assigned by the router, and along with that comes internet. Type in google.com or any other valid web address and you should be able to connect. Done. Our repeater is configured. At the moment, we're connected to the internet by wire. In repeater mode, both the WAN and the LAN ports on the Pix-Link work like a network switch. You could leave the Ethernet wire connected and be all done right now, or you could disconnect the wire, relocate the repeater, and reconnect to it wirelessly. You could also add a second wire and use the second port to connect a smart TV. Run speed test and use whichever method works best. In case you missed it, here are my wireless results from Part 1. Thanks for watching. Wow! What a difference! Next time on MBOX Frustrated User Guide. Have an MBOX that can't keep time? There's an app for that. It's free, it works, and I'll show you how to use it.